Reverend, I'm glad that you've talked about the clear separation of powers that should take place. At the moment, there is a very strong fear that the current commission of the Electoral Commission of Zambia cannot take us to a free and fair elections. You know, if you see what has happened in West Africa, where there were, and God forbid, where there were military takeovers, all of them, most of them came after what was perceived as a genuine elections. Governments close their eyes to the concerns and they close their ears to the concerns of people about the role of an electoral commission that should be deemed to be independent, that should be deemed to be fair. Let me just play the concerns that I've gotten here from two people. Then I bring your views about the role of Parliament and the fears that we have around ECZ. Can the current ECZ deliver a fresh elections? Let me play this.
ECZ, there is no reason why the PF is being stopped from participating in the by-elections. The by-election in Mfue and the other by-elections that were all over for councillors. The Secretary General is here, undisputed Secretary General. So his adoption certificate should be adhered to by the ECZ. But they refuse in their own wisdom. They don't want PF to participate. They want a competition without opponents, and then they celebrate that they are popular. They are lying to themselves. But events of the last 1 week have taught me something. You know, there's a saying in Latin, vox populi, vox Dei. Vox populi, vox Dei. It means the voice of the people is the voice of God, which is democracy. What is the voice of the people is when they are allowed to exercise their ballot. So who is stopping people to exercise their freedom to voice out a leader they want, be it a councillor or council chairperson or an MP? It's the ECZ. Who is the head of the ECZ? Madam Wangara Zaromis. Do you think God is happy with her? I end there. Thank you, Mr. SG.
The ECZ today is a conduit of the ruling party because the chairperson of the Electoral Commission of Zambia is a non-party member of the UPND. That's a board that's supposed to be neutral. That is a board that's supposed to administer elections freely, fairly, and transparently in a country. That already is a dent on democracy. Because that woman, that chairperson, by virtue of her political alignment, might not pronounce her party leader and the candidate a loser.
You wrote an article just last week that it is impossible for the ECZ to declare Hakainde Hichilema a loser if he loses elections.
It's because of what I'm saying. And it's happening for the very first time that a non-party member who wears party regalia can become a board chairperson, the top policy maker of a board that administers elections in Zambia.
Reverend, when you, from the history of Africa, when you interfere with the independence of the electoral process and the perceived fairness of any electoral commission, any independent electoral commission, it presents a very fertile ground for instability post-elections. There will be disputed elections, there could be demonstrations, and what we've seen in West Africa recently has not been favorable. Some candidates even won up to 94%, yet the people had rejected them. When you hear these concerns from stakeholders about independence of institutions, whether it's a human rights, whether it's a Zambia police, whether it's ECZ, these democratic institutions that are supposed to help hold the executive accountable, what are your feelings and what are your comments?
Politics exists to answer the questions of how people with different interests can live together under shared rules. it is shared rules. What that means for us is we want peaceful elections, genuinely peaceful elections, not where people have been intimidated not to participate in the democratic dispensation. People can reach a certain level of anger and frustration when things are not free and fair. And so what I would urge civil society and opposition political parties in Zambia is right now, not to waste time. Why not go and camp at the ECZ and say we have the following demands? We want